Concern over free speech and censorship on large sites such as YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. It's led to the rise of a lot of new alternative social media sites such as Gab, Minds, VidMe. A lot of these with the stated purpose of enforcing free speech, allowing anybody to say anything. And while I agree with the cause of a lot of these sites, I am pro free speech, and I do think censorship on social media networks that account for such large portions of all internet traffic, it's a bad thing. I don't think, and I realize that a lot of the sites creators, like, their mission isn't to completely usurp Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. They're not necessarily trying to be number one. They're just trying to exist as an alternative, which I think that's only a good thing. I think more competition is good for both advertisers and users. And I think that a place that is upholding free speech to some extent, it's a valuable thing. But a lot of the users, especially the more enthusiastic users of these networks, they've really somehow gotten it into their heads that these sites are going to one day be number one, and Facebook's going to go out of business, and Twitter's going to go out of business, and YouTube's going to go out of business, and everybody in the world who uses all these sites now, they're going to be on Gab and Minds and VidMe instead. And no. If that's what you really think, then you have no understanding of why things actually become popular. These kinds of sites have the same exact problem that Google Plus did, and it's that they really just offer nothing new or revolutionary to the user experience. If you really want the vast majority of people, or at least enough people for any of these sites to get a real momentum to push them to that number one spot, you're going to need features that affect the day-to-day use of them, that are just so good that people organically find themselves choosing to use them over Facebook or over Twitter or over YouTube. Free speech in and of itself isn't a feature. It's for the vast majority of people, even people who have encountered issues with free speech on any of these platforms. It's not a fucking feature. It is the default 99.99% of the time. Like, the average person who has had any kind of free speech issue on any of the larger social networks, their experience with it is like, oh, I posted a titty and I got it deleted and now I'm mad. Like, that's their free speech issue experience. Even people who've gotten banned from such platforms due to wrongthink or whatever they want to call it, they were still saying whatever the fuck they wanted to say, and free speech wasn't an issue in using the site, at least, until it suddenly became an issue. And then once again you wind up on these fucking sites where you're basically using it the way you used Twitter in the past. Nothing has changed about how you use the app or the website. If your argument is that free speech and free speech alone is what will propel these sites to the number one spot, then I think you're too close to the issue. You're not really empathizing with how a person uses a website. You're not really being introspective about why you use the things that you use. Like, you don't use social media because of what it stands for. You use it because of the enjoyment of using it, or how you can push your content and ideas through it to other people. Once you've already established your networks on other sites, it's a huge burden to bring it over to something new, and there has to be a reason for that. Why would the average person suddenly move from Facebook, which they've had for years and years and years, and all their pictures are on it, all their posts, most importantly, all their friends are on there? Why then go to one platform instead of that and go through the burden of moving everything over just for the benefit of reaching less people? It reminds me of this complaint I often hear musicians have, that, Facebook, it squashes our reach, so we can't get to our music out to as many people, so someone should make a new social network that's exactly like Facebook, only it's easier for us to reach people. Like, yeah, sign me the fuck up for that. You got a site with a less refined interface that now it makes it easier for musicians to spam me with content that I don't necessarily want to see all day. Alright, yeah. People are gonna be lining the fuck up for a fucking spam book, right? But now, as an alternative, because like I said, people aren't going to necessarily move from one to the other, but people will make one in addition to what they already have. And that's fine, and for a lot of these sites, that's their stated purpose. Interestingly, though, the one of these sites that I remember most clearly making a statement that their goal isn't to become number one, but rather to coexist with their competitors and just provide an alternative was VidMe, because VidMe, to me, is of all of these alternative sites, they're pretty much the only one I think has a snowball's chance in hell of really taking a big share of their competitors' market away if they were to play it a certain way. Because you see, I don't necessarily think that people are going to drop Twitter for a particular person's tweets or drop Facebook for a particular person's posts, but when it comes to video content, the difference between a YouTube and a VidMe, if it's approached a certain way, isn't that different from one TV network to another TV network? All VidMe would have to do, and granted, I'm saying all they would have to do as if this wouldn't take a massive amount of money and manpower to accomplish. All they would have to do is lure away bigger YouTube users like PewDiePie or H3H3 or Philip DeFranco to exclusive deals, and then they would become VidMe creators and not YouTube creators. That's something that I would actually consider spending more time on one site than the other over. I mean, if suddenly I couldn't go on YouTube to watch H3 or like Internet Comment Editor or some shit, I would definitely go to wherever those creators go to watch them, because I'm not a YouTube fan. I'm an H3 fan. I'm a Philip DeFranco fan. You know, it's a different animal, I think. And again, I'm not saying that any of these specific companies are doomed to failure or anything like that, because who's to say? A lot of these companies are still in their infancy. Maybe one day they will come up with the feature that will distinguish them from their competitors. The feature that will be much better than what their competitors offer. I mean, I don't know what that feature is. If I knew what that feature was, I sure as shit would be sharing it for free on YouTube. But, you know, it remains to see what will actually happen with this. And I am curious about what you think, especially on this topic, because I know a lot of the people who follow me, they're very interested in the topic of free speech. I'm sure a lot of you actually do have accounts on Gab or Minds or VidMe. I've actually been in the process of porting some of my more evergreen content over to VidMe, so I'll put a link if you want to follow me on there. Anyway, until next time, let me know what you think, and everybody get fucked.